Let's assume you're a dude and your car's just gone properly poopy in its trousers. The bill is going to be huge and you're having heart palpitations. Understandably so, because the company might not cover it. Here is the number one mistake you will probably make. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au and I get new cars cheap. Australia only though, come on, there's only one of me. Website, card. Okay, you're driving along one day on top of the world in your chariot. Let's say you are that tool in your Ford Ranger, motoring, tailgating the shit out of everyone again on the freeway. And then there's a horrible noise and warning lights on the dash and motive power is lost, and all of a sudden you're in the breakdown lane and you're no longer king of that particular jungle. You get the car towed, goes to a dealer, and the dealer sits you down next to the defibrillator and starts discussing the repair bill and the fact that warranty's not going to cut it. Here's what you're most probably going to do wrong.
This report is sponsored by NordVPN. The internet is so useful, of course, but also a bit risky. You use it every day, so you've got to protect yourself from cyber criminals, scammers, and hackers. NordVPN is a great way to do that. It's simple and effective. You just subscribe, you download the app, and you connect. One click later, you are better protected. Your IP address is shielded from scammers, and your online traffic is masked with state-of-the-art encryption across as many as 6 devices. That's especially useful if you don't want anyone else, including your ISP, your employer, or even the government, looking over your shoulder while you're online. You don't want your employer watching you applying for a job at a competitor, for example. That could get awkward. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC right now and you'll get a huge discount plus up to 4 additional months free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/AEJC. I'll put a link in the description. NordVPN is the fastest VPN on earth and it costs only about as much as a cup of coffee every month to keep your data, your identity and your devices secure. Because your location is masked, you'll be able to access streaming and other services that might be geo-blocked where you live, plus you can continue to watch your favourite content when you travel overseas. All up, it's a pretty small price to pay for enhanced cybersecurity and greater access to this and that online. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now to get more secure and enjoy a juicy discount plus those extra months of free subscription time. It's totally risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/AEJC, link in the description, and thanks to Nord for sponsoring this episode.
It's always better, think you'd agree, to use an actual case study in order to jam the fist right in. Don't you think? This is the 3rd email I've received from this dude, and I really do wonder if he's going to pop a valve before this particular repair gets done. So I'm just going to read it to you. You can let that sink in, and I'm going to give you my assessment of it so that you don't make this mistake if your car goes indignantly poopy in its trousers on the freeway like his. When I asked what the problem was, I was told I needed a new motor, and without a 2-hour labour charge, they would not be able to tell me the exact cause of the breakdown. I've done a video on exactly that, diagnostic fees. I'll try and remember the link up there for that. The symptoms were smoke coming out of the car, always bad, and running very rough, and oil all over the front of the motor. That's not supposed to come out either. We did that in engineering school. From my research and talking to a few people, it seems as though a hole has been put into the piston from an injector. ACCC has advised on wording to Ford head office. Ford have now given me a case number, but that sounds as though they're just trying to fob me off. What I'm looking for is other Ford owners with the same problem to compare notes. My car's done about 150,000 Ks. I have a 5-year warranty, which according to Ford branch runs out on the 28th of February 2023. However, this date does not correspond with our registration date, which is the 5th of April. Jesus. I was further informed by Ford Australia that the extra 2-year warranty would be only covered by the dealership where the warranty was purchased. Extended warranties, like, not worth the paper they're written on. And this is all news to me. Dogstick. Only for shouting. Unfortunately, that dealership is now closed. Shit. I have suggested to Ford that it is a consequence of fair wear and tear. That's probably a mistake. But both the dealership and Ford Australia are trying to baffle me with bullshit and have almost succeeded. Can you offer any other suggestions to possibly lower the $27,000 fix? Jesus. Well, there's a lot to break down out of all of this, isn't there? And I'd suggest up front that extended warranties are a borderline scam. They don't give you typically any additional benefits above and beyond what you already get under consumer law. They're often thinly veiled servicing contracts that lock you into years upon years of servicing exclusively with a particular dealership, and it's just a bad idea. And obviously, if the dealership goes tits up, so does your contract with them. And so that's all money that you've just pissed against the wall, essentially. So I wouldn't be buying an extended warranty. It's just one of those appalling add-on sales scams that many dealerships still try and get you to sign up to. It's up there with frickin' paint protection or rust proofing, fabric protection. Just don't store chooks. You know, don't put chooks on the inside of your car and you won't need the fabric protection. Don't park in the ocean, you won't need the paint protection or the rust proofing. Like, dude. And I'd suggest furthermore that this is not a warranty issue. It doesn't matter. If the warranty is over, it's over. Okay? Doesn't matter what the date is. It doesn't matter if it's February or April. If it's over, it's over. The warranty is just a sort of contractual thing that you've entered into with the car maker, and it's different than consumer law. This is a consumer law issue. So what you've got to decide is, are you entitled to a free repair, free replacement of the engine in this case, under consumer law, or are you going to have to foot the bill yourself? That's really all that matters here. Now, there's a thing called the Acceptable Quality Consumer Guarantee. Just Google ACCC, Acceptable Quality Consumer Guarantee, and it'll come up. One of the things about the Acceptable Quality Consumer Guarantee, which is a piece of legislation, is that everything you buy, your mobile phone, your glasses with the frickin' magnets on them so that you can see shit up close because you're an old fart now, they have to meet the durability expectations of a reasonable consumer. This knife has to meet the durability expectations of a reasonable consumer. If it goes poopy in its trousers after 3 boxes or something, it doesn't matter what the warranty is, it matters that it hasn't been reasonably durable. And obviously, the durability expectation for your knife is different to your magnet glasses that keep getting, every metal filing in the shop keeps building up here. So, eventually they click together like that and you go, I better clean them now. But the durability expectation of these glasses is different to a car. So if I get 18 months to 2 years out of these glasses, I think, if I get 18 months to 2 years out of a car, I think, bah-bow, right? It's kind of that. That's why the legislation is worded that way. For a car, reasonable durability probably means 10 years, in the ballpark of 10 years, and in the ballpark of about 160 to 200,000 kilometres. So I'd say in this case, we're kind of just on the edge of the distance-based window of reasonable durability. So that could be an issue. We'll get to that. But it's not a warranty issue. So stop thinking about it in those terms and stop thinking about it in terms of diagnosis. This is a incomprehensibly pathetic piece of intrinsically male psychological weakness finding the cause of the problem is not your job. Your job is to figure out whether or not the car has been reasonably durable in the context of what would a reasonable consumer expect. You don't care why it's gone poopy. It doesn't matter if 17,000 people in your city have had the same intra poopy experience with the Ranger, or just you. It could be your bespoke intra poopy, or it could be a common intra poopy experience. Doesn't matter, because you're not thinking about starting a class action against Ford. You're thinking about having your problem repaired, and the company is going to deal with you on an individual basis. It doesn't matter if it happens all the time or if it happens just once to you. It doesn't matter. So stop thinking about it like that. Don't waste time researching. It doesn't matter if it's a design defect. It doesn't matter if it's an assembly problem. It doesn't matter if it's a one-off failure. This is the thing that nearly all men get wrong when they're in this situation. They want to know the why. And the why, to the owner, is completely irrelevant. The only thing you need to know is, are you in the gun for a free remedy, i.e. in this case an engine replacement under consumer law? It's the only thing that matters, and that's what you should obsess about, instead of which widget took a dump on which other widget down there. So, the other thing that our correspondent has gotten manifestly wrong here is, rebound off the punching bag, there is no bin, is suggesting that it is a consequence of fair wear and tear. I hope that's a misprint in the email, because if you tell the company that you think it's fair wear and tear, it's not covered, right? Like, fair wear and tear is not covered under consumer law. The things that are subject to, say, fair wear and tear are like clutches and tyres and brakes and globes and just things of that nature. You know, if you wear jeans made of 400 grit sandpaper and you slide your corpulent ass in and out of the driver's seat 30 times a day, you can't go back and complain that the leather appears to be scuffed. It doesn't work that way, right? If something is worn as a consequence of the interaction, for example, between your emery-clad ass and the leather, the fine Corinthian leather, then that's on you, dude, right? And so is abuse and neglect. Like, if you park that shitbox in the ocean and then it rusts, like, that's on you. You parked in the ocean, dickhead. You're not supposed to do that. If you missed every service, like 150,000 kilometres, that would be 10 services. If you've been late, like massively late, for 8 of those services or 6 or even just 4, or you've missed one altogether, then engine poopy in its trousers, that's on you. They're going to throw that at your feet and get away with it because you missed a service. That's neglect. You're not supposed to do that. That's why it's really, really important to get your car serviced on time. It's the time or the distance, whichever comes first. And every time I say that, someone writes in by email and goes, yeah, well, what if the dealership's just told me I can't book my car in for a month, right? Be better organised, dude. Ring up a month earlier and say, hey, I want to book my car in for a service on this date, you know, or around about this date. Ring up a few weeks early. Like, don't be unreasonable about it. And they won't be unreasonable either, because, like, if you're 4 or 5 days late for a service, that's going to be okay. If you're 4 or 5 months late, not so much, you know? And if you ring up and they say, oh, we can't book your car in for 3 weeks, and then it's going to be 2 weeks late, then make a diary entry. Send them an email. Say you're extremely concerned that you've been a good, solid customer here, and you're extremely concerned that it's going to be 2 weeks late for a service. You sincerely hope that their inability to service your car on time does not impact the warranty, right? And get that in writing. Have correspondence relating to that. But just be better organised. Like, how friggin' hard is it, you know? You don't book a holiday the day before you want to go. You don't apply for leave at work the day before you want to go on holiday. It doesn't work like that. So don't treat servicing your car like that. Pretty simple, right? So I'd also suggest that in this situation, you have to frankly and honestly assess whether or not you've got the basic literacy and consumer law knowledge skills to prosecute this kind of claim, because this is what you're doing, right? You need to launch a consumer law claim against Ford or the business, like the retailer, the dealership. And if you're going to do it against the dealership, it has to be the dealer that sold you the car. It can't be any Ford dealer. It's got to be the one that sold your car. But in any case, you are making a claim to the dealer and Ford under consumer law that you deserve a free repair. And if you don't have the knowledge of consumer law and you don't have the basic literacy skills to do that, then don't go looking at consumer affairs or fair trading, whatever it is in your state. They're no balls, dude. It won't work. It won't help. They'll make a phone call. The company will say, no, get fucked. That'll be the sum of it. You'll just waste 2 weeks. Your car will be sitting there broken and you'll get no further down the track. What you have to do is you have to look at $27,000 versus the $350 it's going to cost you to go and see your solicitor. It can be any decent local solicitor who just deals with, wills and conveyancing and all of that kind of basic shit, right? It doesn't have to be Denny Crane, the Shat. Doesn't have to be him, right? I love the Shat. If you put, say, I don't know, $1,000 aside in total for your solicitor to listen to your bullshit up front and get to the bottom of whether you've got a claim at all. And then if you do, they can write a letter of demand to the first respondent, who's most likely the dealer who sold you the vehicle. And then it's going to come from a solicitor. So it's going to carry a little more weight than just some gibberish from you where you stick your foot in your mouth 3 times by telling them that you think it's fair wear and tear, right? Don't do that. The details really matter, and a solicitor is going to know how to do it off the bat. It's actually going to be very cost effective. And if your solicitor, after 1 hour, says, no, mate, I don't think we can get a win out of this one, then what you've got to do is just drop that. You've just got to say, okay, dealership, hopeless. And all they're going to do is fit a brand new engine, because that's how dealership roll. A dealership will roll, like a new car dealership. They don't do any rebuilding of engines. It's just not what they do, right? They just buy a part from Ford and fit it to your car, and an engine's just a part. So in that case, I'd suggest that you could probably turn your $27,000 repair bill into a $12,000 to $15,000 repair bill if you just hand the whole job to a decent independent mechanic. So then you've probably spent $500 on a solicitor to tell you, no, it's not worth fighting. And that's probably going to save you about 6 weeks of absolute anguish, right? And then you're going to put it in the hands of an independent repairer, and they're going to basically do it for about half the price. And all up, you're going to be $15,000 in front. And if it's on you because you didn't get the car serviced, then make a frickin' mental note to get the car serviced on time in future. And like this, all other examples of neglect that can undermine your claim for a free repair, right? They would include things like remapping the engine, fitting a dirty, big additional exhaust, bigger turbocharger. Maybe you've put a 4-inch lift on the car and you're running those massive 35-inch wheel and tyre combinations, something like that, okay? If you've done all of that shit and the engine blows up, it's going to be on you. There's nothing you can do about it. You won't be returning the car to standard because it's been towed to the dealer. They've taken photographs of it. That's just how it is, dude. It's going to be on you. So this is why I always say, if you want to buy a particular car to do a particular thing, buy the car that is as close to capable of doing that particular thing in standard form, because modifications are just going to cut off your gonads in the case of, your entitlement for a free repair under Australian consumer law, because that's going to be like not our problem, dude. You know what I mean? The one thing you've really got to do here, take my advice about it, go to a solicitor. Do not wing it. Do not think that somebody, some agency, some state government agency is going to jump out of the blocks and be your saviour for free, because that's just another worst case scenario fantasy that's going to waste time in between you with a busted car somewhere over there and getting back out on the road, being the biggest tool in the Ranger once again, which we all want on the freeway, dude.